Howdly doodly do, citizens of the nerdy world. Do not press that pause button because welcome back to a fashionably late review of Tales of Arise. We are always fashionably late, but we have still words about games. I am your host for this episode, David Mark Mooney, the glorious one, and joining me as always is my fabulous co-host, the one who has played Tales of Arise for about 60 hours, the glorious Amy Kate Alexander. How are you doing?
Um, Excited to play other games.
And now talk about I can now play other games
I can
now.
now. I'm free. Oh man, I haven't
Freedom.
played. I haven't played a long game in so long. It's like, oh,
I'm afraid to touch them. I'm not gonna lie, because I'm just like I'm gonna forget about so many games if I play a long game. So I'm just like I avoid it like the plague these
like I
days.
played one game for 2 weeks. It's like when I used to play
You
WoW.
have, you do. I'm just getting up the the information on my end because I'm prepared, totally prepared. Amy, I wasn't watching something for the plot whatsoever.
As long as it's like the right information.
Well, hope so. Hope so. Hopey so. Okay. Tales of Arise, the general information. It is available. Hopefully, these are right here, Amy. You can confirm this. PlayStation 5, PC, the Xboxes, and the PlayStations. We'll just say PlayStations. Doesn't say anything for Switch. So I'm guessing it's not on Switch.
Oh, I thought so.
Released September 10th, 2021. Is developed by Bandai Namco Studios, and genres are action and RPG. The description: explore a world that feels alive. Explore the world of Dahana,
Dana.
I think Dahana, where a mixed of unique natural environments change in appearance based on the time of day. Climb over the rocky terrain, swim in the rivers, gather around the campfire, cook food, head to the next town, defeat the master of an alien planet, and liberate the people. That is There's other parts, but we'll be here forever if I go any further. So, Amy, that is the overall general information. So, quick, what is your general thoughts before we delve right into more deeper into it of Tales of Arise?
Um, yeah. So like, I'm a big Tales of fan because that's what the series is called, Tales of, which is
Tales
never
of
feels
Fans.
Tales of fan. Like I got the original, not the original. I got Tales of Symphonia on GameCube back in the day when it was difficult to get JRPGs in this country that weren't called Final Fantasy. I still don't know how. My parents got it, and I was like, I don't know how they managed to get that game, but I got it, and I played it, and I loved it, and I've played loads of Tales games since then. I even like the ones no one likes.
Shocker when it comes to Amy.
But like Tales of Arise, pretty great game. Like really, really, really loved it. Very, very like it's like a soft reboot for the series, which is it's weird to say because they're not connected, right? They're like it's like an anthology series, right? Like the games aren't connected to
Like
each other.
Final Fantasy.
Like Final
They aren't ever
Fantasy.
connected. Yeah.
Yeah, like Tales of Arise isn't connected to the last game, Tales of Berseria. Um, and yeah, it's like a whole new combat system to go in with like the new characters and the new world. And there's I like my brain just went blank. Wow. Okay. Yes, there's a whole new combat system. They're using a new engine. They've made it in Unreal Engine 4, whichever one the current one is. They made it in that.
5 is coming,
So
and
4.
the
They
developers
made it
have
in
it,
Unreal
but
Engine,
it'll
and
be in 4.
you can
There
tell
will
the
be.
difference. There's definitely been some like graphical improvements, over like previous games. But I mean that was always going to happen because the previous game was 5 years ago. So on old generation hardware, and I played it on a PlayStation 5, and it still had loading screens. So I want my money back.
Boo.
Boo,
Boo.
boo.
Boo. Amy has felt a loader screen this year.
Just kidding.
So overall, you've overall enjoyed this game, which is fantastic. So
Did.
let's delve into the nitty gritty, and I have created a new little document so I can ask
Oh
proper good
shit!
questions this time,
I
Amy.
didn't write
So,
anything down. Let's just. Oh
well,
no.
no, no, Amy. Oh, yes, indeed. We're going to start with story and characters.
Oh,
What are
okay.
your thoughts on the story and
It's
characters of
very
this
long.
game?
Um. All right, let's do this. So
Obviously,
this.
no spoilers for
So no
people, just so
spoilers
you know.
for the game. Like I'm gonna have to talk about like late game stuff, but it's more like structure and pacing, as opposed to any actual details. So it's fine. Um, the story is you're a guy who doesn't like in. I don't think this plot line has ever come up in a JRPG, but you're a guy who's lost his memory.
Hey, that's Bravely Default
That's
too.
like half of the JRPGs that have ever
It
been made
really
ever.
is.
Like is it like so like you're on this planet called Dana, and there's another planet called Rena, and the Renans came down in their spaceships and they've enslaved Dana. So like all the people of Dana have been enslaved, and it's they've split the world into like 5 regions. Each region is under the control of a slave master, I guess. I can't remember the actual name of them, even though they said it like 7,000 times in the 50 out plus hours I played the game. The lords. So there's 5 lords. I knew if I just talk, see that's my secret mood. If I just talk long enough, I'll remember the word that I'm looking for. So there's the 5 lords, and you play as Iron Mask because the guy doesn't even remember his name at the start of the game, but he's wearing this like iron mask that he can't take off. You meet up with a Renan called Shion, who is cursed with something she calls thorns. So no one can touch. If anyone touches Shion, they'll suffer great pain and or die. So you can, as you can imagine, not great. But Iron Mask can't feel pain. On top of having no memory. And the two of them, they team up. Shion wants to get rid of her thorns, and she's going to kill all of the lords. And Iron Mask has decided he's had enough of his entire people being enslaved and wants to kill all the lords and free Dana and free the Danans. And that is where the story starts. It goes places. It's like 50 plus hours long. And I
Typical
skipped it.
JRPG.
I skipped some of the side content. I never play like 100% of games. Like I'm not gonna lie, unless they're like 90 minutes long. Spoilers for another review later next week probably. And yeah, the story's really good. There's a lot of twists and turns, but like the game has a part 1 and a part 2, which makes it sound like it's evenly split between like part 1 and part 2, but it's not. Like part 1's like took me like 40-ish hours, and then part 2 is like the last 10. Part 1 is great. You do the JRPG thing as you travel, you meet people. Some of these characters become party members, and become main characters. There's 6 of them altogether. All 6 main characters have really cool stories. They have their own personal storylines that are separate from and also tie into the main storyline, which is, hey, maybe we should like free all of these enslaved people, all of these oppressed people from the Renans. And it's just cool. It's really well paced. You go to a new place, you do some stuff. Sometimes you'll do like small side quests to help out some people that you find, but for the most part, what you're doing is you're working towards figuring out what's going on in this particular realm, and then figuring out how to overthrow the lord of that realm. And you do that basically 5 times. It's not as simple as that. Like every realm has its own twists. They're all oppressed in very different ways. And you have to go about enacting that plot in very different ways each time you do it. And then you get part 2, and we'll talk about part 2 later. It's very different from part 1 when it comes to its story beats, especially, and the way it's paced. But for 40 hours, this story was pretty fucking great. And then for 10 hours, it was still pretty great, but there was a conveyance issue, we'll call it.
Very good, very good. Next up for you, Amy, gameplay. Some consider this
Oh wait.
arguably the most important thing of a video game.
Um.
I think it is. I think it is top three, no doubt about it.
Oh
But
yeah. Well,
what
it's
are your
like you
thoughts?
play a game, right? You play a game. It's
Yeah,
gameplay.
yeah.
I should probably talk about the characters a little bit because they are fantastic. Um. Like we might get into in even more nitty
My
gritty. I
apologies.
don't. No, it's fine.
My apologies for that. I didn't realize you
I
would
don't
pick.
know what's on your document. You've never shown it me before, so I'm like,
I can give you. I can tell you now to
uh,
help you.
well, I'll just talk about the characters first. So like I said, there's 6 main characters. There's a lot of side characters, as you might imagine, because it's a JRPG that you play for 50+ hours. You meet a lot of people. The individual character storylines are really good. The characters themselves, like even just as soon as you meet most of them, are really cool. Like Iron Mask, for example. Like despite the fact that it's a pretty big JRPG cliche, like his storyline and like discovering things about himself is really really interesting. But because of his specific circumstance where he can't feel pain, and the other main character, Shion, is a Renin who like has this thing. She's had it like her entire life. She had these thorns. No one can touch her except Iron Mask can, because Iron Mask can touch her and not feel any pain. Because so like that sets up an interesting dynamic between the two characters right off the bat, and the evolution of their relationship from where it starts, which is basically just you're useful to my end goals, so we're going to work together to accomplish them. And like their relationship as it goes through the game is just fucking great. Like they're two fantastic characters, brilliantly written, and their story arc is awesome. But like beyond that, every character brings something really cool to the story, and the stuff that they go through is really really good. Um, like one of the party members, and this is probably in descriptions and stuff of the game, but one of the party members you recruit is a Renin Lord later on in the game. So the story isn't as straightforward as it could have been, and it isn't as straightforward as a lot of JRPGs are. And you actually like they don't shy away from the fact that Dohalim is was whatever a Renin Lord, and like they have him actually grapple with that and wrestle with it throughout the course of the game, which brings a really cool dimension to what could have been a 2-dimensional story. And it's the same for all of the characters. Like they've all lived in this world for however many years or whatever, like however long they've been around. So like, and you feel that weight of that experience. Whereas sometimes, how sometimes you could feel like you jump into a game and it's like everybody was just on pause waiting for the game to start. And like there's stuff that happened, but like the characters never really like interacted with it. Where it's like, no, these characters have histories and personalities and that they bring forward and have to deal with. And it's really, really well put together. And shout out to Kisara, who basically becomes the party mom. And it's so cool. It's just really cool. Like immediately it's just I love the interactions and the dynamics between the 6 main characters.
There's no doubt about like characters drive the plot, and if you can't connect with them, then the game's going to be incredibly difficult to play. Because like it's going to be for me, it's a slog. Like if I can't connect to a character, I'm slogging across it, and arguably I probably would say, "Nah, I'm done. I can't." As great as the gameplay might be, as great as the world design might be, or the sound design and
Yeah.
everything else, if I can't connect to it, I move on pretty fast when it comes to that type of thing. But so you got your story and your characters and everything, but now it's time to get to the gameplay, Amy. Arguably one of the most important things for games. What's the gameplay like?
It's one of those pillars that I keep hearing so much about in game dev circles, right?
Mm-hmm. You're gonna hate my review of Wavelengths.
You push your buttons. That's it. It's the gameplay. I guess technically that's all gameplay, but yeah. So the gameplay is very much your sort of standard sort of JRPG stuff. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of systems and mechanics, but like, if you're like me and you've played a lot of Tales games before, you might think you know what to expect, and you kind of do. Like they haven't reinvented the wheel. So it's a JRPG which is real time. So whenever you're fighting enemies, be it like you'll go to different maps and there'll be wandering enemies, then you run into them, and then it goes and it goes to like a battle arena. Or like, the story will conclude and it'll be like this guy's about to kill you, and then and you're fighting a boss fight, stuff like that. But like, it's real time. You can control any of the characters at any given moment. You can switch between them. Like, it's one of the coolest things about this game is it's very much so like, you've played JRPGs, like you've played like say Final Fantasy 9, I know is your favorite one, where it's like you spend a lot of time in menus like equipping materia and like tweaking your party combo, so you've got like different characters. And Tales of Arise is very much built around letting you just get on with it and do whatever you want. So like you can have 4 characters in a battle, and like this is 6 party members, but you can just switch between them in battle. Like you can just switch them in the menu. Like you have arts, which are like special attacks. So you can do like normal attacks to build your combo meter up. And you can do you do arts, which are your special attacks, which are mapped to the face buttons on the controller or whatever they are on the keyboard. I don't know what it would be. But like you can swap them around. So like if you go into a fight and it's like, oh, this enemy is weak against wind. Shit, I didn't bring any of my I haven't got any of my wind arts equipped. You just go in the menu and swap your arts around, and it's totally fine. Like even the 2 characters. So like on top of that, you are building up boost meters, so you can do boost strikes. And when you do, they're like extra powerful attacks. They have these cool animated, like they have these cool little cutscenes that play where you do these cool big boom boom attacks. And like the boost meters for the 2 party members who aren't actively in your party will still build up, and you can still use them. So like you'll be fighting, and let's say like Law's not in my 4-person party, but his boost meter fills up. I hold down the trigger, I push a button, and Law just jumps in, does his thing, and then jumps back out again. So it's like the other 2 party members are still active in combat, even if they're not active in combat. And the other big change that I think really works really well is like they've put a bigger emphasis on dodging in this game. So like you can do perfect dodges, which allow you to immediately counterattack. Crucially and interestingly, like you can perfect dodge any enemy. So like say there's 5 enemies on the battlefield and you're focusing on one, and like another enemy attacks you, you can perfect dodge that enemy, and then you hit the counterattack button and you'll teleport to the enemy you were fighting and attack them, so it doesn't switch your targets and stuff, which I thought was a really neat sort of thing. Yeah, it's canny, right? Like certain characters have boost strikes which are useful in certain situations, so you hold them back. For example, Rinwell is one of the party mages, and her special ability that's tied to sort of her boost strike is if enemies are casting spells and you use Rinwell's boost strike, she'll stop the spells and steal the spells, and then can then fire the spells back. So it becomes quite handy in sort of like tough fights where it's like the enemy's casting an art and you just go, oh no, you don't. Boop, I'll just have that, thanks. Like if you time it well, but you've got to keep, obviously then you can start thinking about it a little bit more tactically, where it's like Kisara can use her boost strike to stop enemies that are charging. So like if they'll start rampaging around the battle arena and really fuck you up. But if you've got Kisara's boost strike, you just go boom and she just gets a big shield and she goes bang, and then it stops the charge. So there's like a lot of thought that goes into when to use certain abilities. And the best part is you play as Iron Mask throughout the entire thing. He's set up as the main character. He's the first character, the point of view character. But like, if you don't want to be the fast swishing sword fighter guy and you want to be, say, Shion, who is the healer who also has a big fucking gun, like you can just set Shion as the main character and play as Shion throughout the whole game, and that's fine. And she's got her own arts, and she's got her own playstyle, and she does her own stuff, and it's fucking great. Like you could play as any one of these 6 characters all the time.
Oh, that's
brilliant.
It seems like it's a well balanced gameplay style that they've thrown into this one.
It is, yeah. It's thought out in a way where it's like, you've been in that situation, right? In a JRPG or any game that relies on sort of like elemental attacks as like weaknesses. where it's
Yeah.
like, shit, my characters don't have this element, you know what I mean? Or like my party isn't set up, so like the characters that could do the most damage aren't here. Just jump in the menu and change it mid fight,
Yeah.
and it's
Old
fine.
RPGs aren't aged well when it comes to that type of
Yeah,
thing.
right.
You have to be very quite careful with what you bring in.
It's like, oh, one of your characters has been KO'd, but you don't have anything like you're in a long fight. One of your characters has been KO'd, and you don't have anything to revive them with. But you've got another character who's not in your party. You just swap them out and keep fighting. Like, there's a lot less sort of like going into a fight and either being in a situation, like knowing you're in a situation where this fight is going to be so long and so hard because you haven't brought the right stuff. There's none of that. Like,
Yeah.
I had exactly one fight in my entire like 50 odd hours where it was like, shit, I'm gonna lose.
That's good.
And like stupidly didn't reload. I just went, I'm gonna try and win. I'm gonna like I got stubborn about it, right? I'm gonna fucking win. Didn't win. Spoilers. Spent like 5 minutes. 5 minutes just hopelessly fighting the boss. Another cool change is because all of the abilities and special abilities aren't like a mana bar or a stamina bar or anything like that. But healing is limited in a similar sort of way as it was in Persona 5, which I thought's a really cool touch, where you have like this global CP, it's called Cure Points. And that recharges via using items that you'll find or by resting. But otherwise, like every time a healer uses a healing or use like potions and stuff like that, they're called gels, sorry, in this game. Like that CP will go down and down and down and down until you rest to recharge it back to full. So it's like it's an interesting mechanic, but it's one I never really interacted too much with because Shion was the healer and I wasn't controlling Shion, and I just let Shion do whatever. And like we didn't die, so she was doing a good job. Like, so it was fine. But it is quite worth a note. Like, you need to make sure you're resting constantly because you can just run out of CP, and then you're fucked because you can't heal. It happened to me in the final boss fight. Moody, in the very final boss fight, I had to get so fucking good at this game to get through that final boss fight because I had nothing left in the tank. I got really good at dodging by the time I was finished. Like, yeah, it's like if you think like, okay, so I'm in the final boss fight, I'm doing the thing, I can get hit like 5 times, and then I'm dead. So you can imagine. Dodging became a thing I was very, very good at.
He was like,
oh yeah, it was like there's a bit of footage that played, I think, at the start of this where it's like an amazing cutscene. Like where it's like there's some fight. That was me in the final boss fight. By the way, well, now that I've mentioned it, just before, like there's loads more gameplay systems we could talk about because I've just talked about the combat, but I do just want to say, because I mentioned it, some of the cutscenes in this game, like there's anime cutscenes, which has been a thing in Tales games for forever. That are obviously awesome. Like when you've got to a cutscene and it cuts to anime, you're like, oh yeah, now we're in for a fucking great scene. But some of the like in-engine cutscenes where there's like this, there'll be like there's like a part like halfway through the game where this mysterious swordsman guy shows up and fights your party, and like, oh man, like that, if that had been in like an animation I'd been watching, that fight scene, I would have been like, that was fucking cool. Like sometimes like you just watch a cutscene and where characters are fighting or just doing stuff, and you just go, that was fucking cool. That was badass, man. And you get one right at the beginning of the game. Like, one of the first cutscenes is a fight. And that looks so great. So shout out to the animation and the cutscenes.
very good. Is there any other gameplay element you want to shout out before we move on to the next part?
So like the leveling system is a bit weird. It's that JRPG thing of like leveling up increases your health. Like it increases all of that background stuff, right? And then there's like a separate leveling system for skills and unlocking stuff, which is weird. Like, I don't know if I like it or not. I've played it for decades, but I'm still like sitting here decades later going, I don't even know if I like this. For example, it's on the screen right now. So each character has like these, and you unlock them as you go through the game, like by doing certain things, getting certain parts of the story, doing certain side quests, and like each character has like it's like a ring. So every time you unlock a new skill ring, we'll call them, like you get the first one unlocked for free, so it'll give you like your maximum AG will go up, so you can do one more extra attack, in a combo, for example, um, and then like the other four are unlocked with SP skill points that you accumulate by you get some through fights, but the main way to accumulate them is to do quests, to do side quests, main quests, or like kill bosses, um, and it's very strange. You unlock loads of different ones. And when you unlock everything in one ring, it gets you a bonus. So you'll get like plus 20 to this or plus 30 to this. And I was really paying attention to it for the first 10 to 15 hours of the game, right? Where I was like, oh, which moves do I want to unlock? Oh, that's cool. Oh, that sounds cool. Oh, double jump in combat. Yeah, I could probably make use of that. I never made use of that. I never did a double jump once. But then I got to a certain point where I was just like, there's a lot here. Okay, I'm just gonna start setting it up. So I just start unlocking the rings for the passives, because I was like, I got overwhelmed by the amount of things that I was trying to unlock, because there's 6 characters, right? The only cool thing about it is you can set flags on skills, so that when you get enough SP, a little notification pops up, and you can just open the menu, go straight in and click it, and then set, you know what I mean? So you don't have to think, you don't have to keep checking the menu to say, do I have enough SP yet? Do I have enough SP yet? You just, the game will just go, yo, check your skill menu out. And you go, oh, thanks, game.
Well, that's very good. Like I say, they need to leveling up and everything. It can be a tedious thing sometimes. So making it as simple as they can is like good on that one. I remember when I was used to like obviously the Final Fantasy 9 level up system, which was just you level up.
You level up, and like,
And
yeah.
you go to Final Fantasy 10, they go to the sphere grid, and you go, what have they done?
Like, that was like,
But I enjoyed the sphere system by the end of it. I was like, I like this. It's not bad.
I like, and I know it's gonna sound like, oh, you know, whatever, but I liked Final Fantasy 7. Like, its whole materia system was cool because it was simple, right?
Yeah.
Like, what you didn't have to worry about like skill trees and like figuring out where you're going along the path. It's literally just like you just put weapons, upgraded weapons, and then you just slot things into it depending on how you want the character to be. That was it. Like, don't put any materia on Cloud. He's a fucking badass sword fighter who does ridiculous damage. Or you can make him a healer. Or you can make him a fucking, you know what I mean? And I like that. And more JRPGs need to do that, but like, it's fine. Like, I'm not saying it's bad or anything. It's just, it becomes overwhelming after a while, and when that happens, I just shut it down, and I boil it down to one thing, and they go, okay, I'm gonna do that one thing.
Yeah, that's understandable. All right, we'll move on to world and level design. How was the world and level design in this game for you?
Yeah, it's pretty good. So, like, in the first part of Tales of Arise, the game is split into obviously 5 regions, like I mentioned. They're all very distinct from one another. They're based on 5 elements, surprisingly enough. But like, you start off in like the area you'll have probably seen the most in the footage that's been playing over on YouTube, which is like the fire level. It's the Fire Nation, basically. It's all rocky and brown and orange, and then like you move on to the next area, and it's like it's snow covered. So it's like, oh, you got snow everywhere, and it's night permanently. And it's a nice juxtaposition. And then like you keep going through the world, and you keep seeing all these cool areas, and they're amazing. They're fantastic. The level design is it's very basic, and I don't mean that as necessarily mean that as a negative. It's not an open world RPG. It's very much like maps connected to each other. And most of the time, like you'll go to a town, for example, and that's fine, that's whatever. It's a shop there, there's an inn there, there's quests here and here and here, and then like you're essentially navigating dungeons, and it's very much a case of okay, so the main path is right, but there's a path left. So if I go left first, there'll be a chest or a fight or something, which will get me something. So you go left and you do the thing and you get the thing, and then you go right. And then as you go on right, it's like, oh, wait, hold on, there's another path just over here. And then that's how it works.
Yeah.
And it's very functional. Like, you don't do any of the combat in the world itself. Like, you always, like, it's that JRPG thing of being teleported to a combat arena, and that's where you do the fight. It's just a circular arena that you run around and while you're fighting. So it's fine. Like the world is cool. In part 2, you go some other places that I won't spoil. And they're also pretty cool. It was only really the last sort of dungeon, where it was a bit like, oh, this is a bit naff, but. It wasn't just the world design or the level design where I was going, oh, this is a bit naff. We'll talk about that, I'm sure. I'm sure there's a tab for that.
Maybe not. Who knows? I'm steering this blind. How is RPGs has a huge element in its sound design and music.
Oh,
How
yeah.
is that for you? Because of like we can call out many that have been absolutely incredible. The Final Fantasies, the Bravely Default, the Monster Hunter games, etc. And I'm only saying a couple there, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone,
like Persona 5, right?
how is it?
Fucking
Yeah,
music.
the Persona 5. Yeah, you say that. I say thank you for clarifying. Like the Persona games itself, iconic just for its sound alone and music. How is the Tales of Arise sound design and music theme, etc.?
So the music's good. Music's excellent. It's just like at this point when you play in a JRPG, right? It's not like the music can be amazing, and it's just you just expect it at this point, right? Like it would be
I hope
weird.
so.
It would be weird if the music was bad in a JRPG. I don't know what it is about the people that get to do the music for all of the JRPGs, but like I don't know, like whatever they're putting in the water, right? Like because
Keep drinking it.
keep drinking it because Jesus. Yeah, it's a great soundtrack. It does all of the right stuff. It's like it's got a big focus on very strong themes. So if you think like, and this is gonna sound weird, but bear with me. So if you think like the original series, Star Trek, the original series, right? Like there's a lot of very memorable music in that series that you could probably remember if you tried. Whereas it's like in, say, Star Trek Voyager, you'll remember the theme tune because you hear it every week. But what other music do you remember from Star Trek Voyager? Like, not that much because it's pretty generic. Like, so it's very like, it's very strong in terms of like memorability. Like, it's a bit different while still being like what you would sort of expect, like orchestral music, or like there'll be some guitars going like crazy. Like
I agree.
It's like you listen to it, it's very standard, but you'll also be like, huh, wow, they really went all in on that theme. The sound design. We've talked about the sound design on the podcast last week. The voice acting is good. Does a lot of good stuff in the cutscenes. In fights, everyone is shouting at you all the time, and it's really confusing, and that gets really annoying. So like you've got all these different characters, and like you've got the music, you've got the sound effects of like, you know, monsters doing whatever, and all of your attacks doing the things like bang bang, and then like the healing thing will go blue, 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 and then like there'll be an explosion because someone's just done a big freaking explosion attack, and swords clanging and whatnot. And then for like the game is the game's combat is built around like very quickly chaining together combos, right? of special attacks, and like every character on the battlefield shouts every single special attack that they're doing very quickly, all like shouting it. So it just becomes a fucking cacophony of unintelligible noise. But there's like cues in those things that you have to listen for, where it's like, so like the thing I mentioned about Rinwell stealing enemies' arts, right? Like a circle will come up and start filling up on the screen visually, but there's so many like explosive particle effects and things happening. But there's also a character will do a voice line when that's happening. So if you listen for that and you hear them say it, you can go, "Oh shit!" I need to use Rinwell's boost attack. But you could listen through so much noise because the characters then also, on top of screaming all of their moves all of the time, also banter with each other while they're fighting, and it becomes this audio mess. Where it's just like, I just badly need you all to shut the fuck up for a minute.
Is there not a thing in options that you can maybe drown it out and just concentrate on the thing?
Maybe, but again, like I said, there's cues in that audio where it's like you need to listen for someone saying that the enemy's using arts, or that enemy's charging, so you can know to use Kasara's charge stopping boost strike. So it's like you could turn it off, but I also have to try and like pierce through the noise to listen for that one voice line that I need to hear.
Yeah. Well, that's a little disappointing because it makes it hard and difficult.
It makes it hard and difficult, and it is annoying, but at the same time, it is pretty funny.
But it's also typical RPG at the same time.
Oh yeah, it's like Japanese things. It's like a whole thing in it.
They want all the explosions and words and character developments all happening at the same time.
All the noise is good, actually.
Yeah, basically, yeah. That's your next team.
No, it's not.
Team name. All the noise is good, actually.
All the noise in the world ever, all at once.
So you've given your general thoughts. You've spoken about the story and characters, the gameplay design, the world level design, the sound and music design. But what didn't work for you?
All right, so I've been holding on to this.
Do we need to put a little bit of a spoiler warning?
No, we don't need to put a spoiler warning. Like I said at the beginning, I will be talking about part 2, which is the last 10 hours of the game. However, I will only be talking about it in vague terms, and also I'm focusing mostly on structure and pacing as opposed to the story, because the story is great all the way through. But like I said when we were talking about the story, it's in part 2, it's told to you in such a fucking weird way. So like, you play the game, you do the stuff, then there's a story break, essentially, like where it's like bang, and then the story sort of shifts, which happens in every single Tales game I've ever played. Like you're doing what you think is the whole point of the whole game, and then actually, it turns out, wait, hold on, no, there's more to this. And then you get to part 2, the new intro, because there's an anime intro that plays like 40 hours into the game. And it goes, "Hey, you ready for more?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm ready for more. Let's do this." And then it's like they've taken an entire sequel, because like there's enough here, right, in part 2 for an entire other game. Like that's how much like there is to continue on. But then they've taken it and they just squashed it right down into like 10 hours. So the pacing gets really strange really quickly.
The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, but better, because Tales of Arise was still actually good. Like it does have some negative effects, obviously, but like it's weird to sit here and go, I played this game for 50 hours. It should have been 70, you know? Like they really just shouldn't have tried to squeeze all that down. Because what happens is it focuses on the plot as opposed to the characters. And you still get cool character moments. And the characters still drive the narrative, but they do so in a really, really condensed fashion. Because, again, they've squashed it. Like to put it in perspective, you go to a place and you talk to a character you've never met before. In a place you didn't even know existed. And then that character is like, "Hey, do this thing for me," and you go, hold up, Chief. I think we need to just like, learn a little bit more about the situation. So you go away and there's three characters that you talk to as part of this main story you've also never met before. And in the space of 15 minutes, you get 6 earth-shattering, game-changing revelations one after the other. And they're all just told to you by this character. And I'm like, there was a better way. There was a better way to convey this information.
They literally threw you all the information all at once.
Yeah.
Here's a surprise. Here's a surprise.
It was literally like if I sat here and told you all 6 of them right now on this podcast, that's how the information was presented to me. And I was like, God damn. Like, everything I thought was true wasn't true. Why did you do this in this specific way? You basically just took what could have been 6 cool dungeons and compressed them into one conversation.
Yeah.
And it really bleeds through to the last dungeon, in terms of how badly paced it is. You go do the last dungeon. All of the enemies in the last dungeon are mini bosses that you fought throughout the game. I can't tell you how long that last dungeon took me, because all of the fights were really protracted. And it was like, I started running past them. Not gonna lie, I did. I just started running past every fight I could in that last dungeon because I was like, I just need to get the next bit. I've been here for 84 years. I need to get past this dungeon. I know it's the last dungeon and I should be savoring every drop of Tales of Arise, but fuck my life, I need to finish this game now.
My characters are starting to look a bit grey. I need to get them to the end.
And then you get the end and there's like 3 boss fights in a row. Which is fine. That's typical JRPG stuff. Like, I fought it, I did the thing. It was fun. Yeah, there's that. It's tough. It can get tough in parts to like keep going through that second part when it's just like so weirdly paced. Like this. It's like they broke it. Like, you talk about story structure. It's like if you imagine story structure as a physical thing, it's like when they crushed it down, they broke all of the struts.
Everything holding this story up is snapped in half.
Because the story is still good. The characters are still cool. You still get cool moments. You still get cool story moments. But it is just like, wow, we could have done this. Even an extra 10 hours would have been like, wow, we could have done this in a much better way than we actually did.
Now let's get to the end.
Yeah.
Or everything got them.
I think, do you know whether the developers were just self-conscious that they'd made a game that was... Because Berseria was about the same length as Tales of Arise was. I don't know whether they were self-conscious about making a longer game, but like, it could have been better if it had had some more room to breathe in the second half.
Yeah. Anything else before we get to your final thoughts?
Anything else? No, I think we've pretty much covered it comprehensively. Like, we can just go on my final thoughts, unless there's anything you want to follow up on.
I haven't played this game, so I can't really comment on it. But so, final thoughts on Tales of Arise.
You seem really well organized. You assumed you researched the game or something. I don't know. It might have been like, well, you didn't mention this. It's like, that's right, I didn't. These reviews aren't comprehensive. I didn't mention the team up strikes, which are cool. Where it's like when you do enough damage to an enemy, you get these cool moments where you have 2 characters do like a joint attack. And they're always great. Even though it's the same attack over and over again. It's just fucking great. And it really builds the characters' like bonds, togetherness, because a big theme of this story is like found family. And like that's a big theme of these 6 characters. Like there's so many skits where they're just like, you'll get to a campfire and they'll just be chatting. It's nice to see characters hang out and not just always be doing like the world is ending storyline stuff, where it's just like sometimes you get to see them hang out and be friends. Like it's not just implied. They don't just say it. Well, you're my friend. I've literally never seen you 2 interact before. Like, like that kind of thing, where it's just like everything's implied. It's like, it's not implied here. It actually happens on the screen. But yeah, my final thoughts are it's a really great game. I liked it a lot. The story was cool. The characters were brilliant. The combat's fun and engaging, and it doesn't punish you for having the wrong setup going into a fight, because you can just change the setup in the fight. It's fine. Just make sure that for the love of fuck that you take a lot of healing items into the last boss fight because it's actually 3 boss fights.
Oh, you
Don't
have to
make my
become a
mistake.
master dodging.
Oh, just become a master dodger. You don't want to do that. Trust me, it's not worth it. Yeah, it's a really great game. Like, it has some pacing issues and some story structure issues, presentation issues in the last sort of 10 hours, but it doesn't ruin the game at all. It just makes it you think this could have been better, but it's still good. So, suck it, Rise of Skywalker. There you go.
Suck it indeed.
Final thoughts. Suck it, Rise of Skywalker.
Well, that is it for Amy's review of Tales of Arise. Do you agree with her? Let us know if you do. Do you like it? Are you in the middle, or did it just not work for you? Leave a comment down below. As it is time for us to get out of here, for us to now play some small games, not 60-hour games, and come back to eventually review them late, because we are the Fashionably Late Review Show, and we are out of here. Say peace out, Amy.
Peace out, Amy.
Peace out.